Welcome to another episode of NTV Seeds of Gold, the much-needed multi-award-winning agriculture show that is here to share insight with you on how to mine a great deal of gold from farming. Proudly brought to you by Bukola Chemical Industries and YPA for your expert opinion segment. Last week we were in Arua.
The purpose is food. Yeah. When I have food in my garden, do I need the rentals now? When they want to eat fish at home, I don't stop them from fishing.
That's yam?
Yeah, those are yams.
Okay.
Those are yams. Me, in my home, there's no bread.
Yeah. That part where people put flowers. For you, you have food.
Me, I change my flowers every day. And if you plant their dodos, they are green. And the dodo also has that
it has some nice flowers too, yeah.
So why can't we have two things at the same time?
That chicken is also for home.
Yeah, that is also
it's for home. It's all for home and family.
Yeah, families. Yes, for family consumption.
And today we are heading to Bombo, where farming simply is the way of life.
Fish, once you learn the basics, it's a very good business to do. You won't get fish getting sick like buying alkalids like we do for cattle. I find catfish is easier to do supplementary feeding, which is not the case with tilapia.
From Luwero to Wobolenzi, Kapeka and Masulita and Chichusa, this part of central Uganda has no shortage of inspiring farmers, and we've had the privilege of telling their stories. So if you ever get the chance to own land around here, don't think twice. Grab it. Tonight's farmer is no stranger to hard work. Meet Henry, who bought land while working in the diaspora, what the kids like to call cheo, and started this venture as a modest plot. But here we are looking at 30 acres of possibilities. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Sanga Farm, our inspiration for the day.
Generally, this is our village. Our village is called Sanga. So it's named after this village. That's where the name comes from.
Sanga Farm is a fully fledged mixed farm with fish ponds, dairy cows, poultry units, and even citrus orchard. He calls it his retirement dream. So grab a seat and enjoy the ride. I promise this, you will be inspired.
I had gotten this land far back, generally, in 2012. Because I was planning at the end, I had this idea of retiring at the farm. I grew up on a farm. So I wanted as well to retire on a farm, and I didn't want to go back again where I was born. It was far removed from where my family was. So I decided to look for a farm within at least 50 kilometers radius of Kampala. Then eventually I found this. When the COVID pandemic came, that's when I got COVID myself, and it really hit me so hard. And after that, I decided, let me not die in a foreign country, let me go home. And when I came here, where could I start from? I said, let me go to my farm, and since then I've been here.
There is so much going on this farm, but Henry's heart is firmly with fish farming.
I do cattle, I have poultry, but I found fish farming is a bit, I wouldn't say a bit easier, but it's something that I would choose to do than any other business. Because fish farming now, I think it's the game changer as of now. Fish, once you learn the basics, it's very challenging at the beginning when you don't know what to do. But when you learn the basics, I think fish is very good. It's a very good business to do. Because fish, naturally, if you can regulate the water, you won't get fish getting sick like buying alkalids like we do for cattle. So that it keeps the expenses at least minimum. The feeds as well. The feeds are expensive, but you can as well find a way around, as I do my own feeds as supplements. So for me, fish again is, you can target, it's a target business. You can know you're putting in your fish, you will just get it out within 6 months. So at least you know what you're stocking and what you'll be harvesting. I found it very easy to calculate and know your margins. With fish farming, I think you learn from others. And I did learn from others as well, because the farmers have they learn hands-on. The challenge they face, even I think the professional can't prepare you for that. And every farm has its own challenges, because as you see, there are some people who have running water. My water is coming from some place in the ground here. So the challenge I might be facing here with the water challenge, it might not be the same challenge someone who has a running water running through. So that as well matters.
And if there is one thing he believes in, it's jumping at the right opportunity. We ask the real questions, and Henry shares what it takes to make this work.
It has been a very tough challenge, and I think every farmer faces that. I think the options as well were so limited. So when you're faced with a situation when you have to face it that way, then you do it. And I can see now there's some kind of good improvement. I would encourage people to go into fish farming. The competition is not that much like in poultry or piggery. That's what I hear when I'm comparing notes with other people. Though with fish farming, there's, I think, much capital you have to invest in before. Maybe that's why most people are so worried about it. Unlike poultry, which you can just get sticks and put some wood around, and within 3 days you've elected a poultry. With fish farming, you have to invest in a lot of capital at the beginning. And obviously that capital can't come out immediately. So it's like a long-term investment. But it's an investment worth making.
To stay competitive, Henry has developed smart ways to stay in the market all year round. Instead of chasing what everyone else is doing, he focuses more on catfish than he does the tilapia. Out of the 9 ponds, 7 have catfish, and it's paying off.
Mostly I deal in catfish, by the way. I find catfish is easier to do supplementary feeding, which is not the case with tilapia. Secondly, catfish can survive on, more or less I would say, in any water. But tilapia is very sensitive. You have to be very specific on water control. And at times, some of these things you don't want to be so much on tension. Mostly if you are not employing professionals as a professional fish farmer or professional person to do that. So I didn't go much into tilapia. Though, after I dug the other ponds down, and now all these ponds down get their water from here, their water supply, I decided to now leave this one as a natural haven for tilapia. The reason being, the water that catfish uses is so dirty. You can't use it in another. But the water that tilapia uses, you can open it and go and feed another pond. Here I have tilapia. Say natural haven, I've spent like 2 years, I no longer fish in here. Generally, my first harvest was very encouraging because I managed to get good size and I had the good numbers. So, but having said that, when I sat down and added the figures, then the margins were not that impressive. So I said, well, I've got the size, I've got the numbers. So how can I now reduce on this margin? I think that's what motivated me to go for an option. But the first harvest was good. The price of catfish is slightly lower than tilapia. But I think that as well goes with the hustle. I can't protest that because really I think tilapia you go through a lot to raise it. Its feeds, its water quality. Unlike catfish, The price, there's about 2,000 in per kilo, the difference in prices. So, and again, tilapia you have to go beyond a year or something. But catfish, if you fed it well, 7 to 9 months, you get your fish out. So a kilo at times goes for 6,000. The suppliers are the people determining what you have to earn. I think it's a calculated kind of, because they give you their tables. You're supposed to feed like this, as they do with chicken as well, poultry. So you find at the end, most of the money, when you calculate, the profit margins more or less, they are not there. So after my first harvest, I looked at a way how I could minimize the expense on feeds. So I sat down, and generally I think it was the Christmas Eve of 2022. I said I was home. I say, let me sit down and see how I can codify these feeds and try to work out something that can be similar. Then I tried to mix some different ingredients, and I came out with some good mixture. Some other colleagues of mine, fellow fish farmers, also gave me an idea, like, if we can, why don't you add this as well? And it's now good. It's well fattening, and I find it's better than it fattens better than the feeds we have on market. But having said that as well, I still buy them as well.
While this batch still has a few months to go, we can still see how these ponds are in top shape. We hope you've picked up something new from Henry's experience in fish farming. I mean, learning never stops. But let's take a short commercial break. Do not forget to scan that QR code on your screen and join the conversation online. You're watching NTV Seeds of Gold. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching NTV Seeds of Gold, streaming live on X and the Your TV app. Henry doesn't just talk about profit, but also shows us how it's done.
The ponds have standard size. The standard size of a pond, 100 by 40, 50. You can stock it with 1,000 fingerlings. Some do too. Every pond is different. You stock it differently. So it depends on the size. And for example, before I used to stock in this one. And these ones I used to put in more or less 5,000 to 10, depending on... because fish, another thing is you have to first calculate and say, am I going to be able to raise the fish feeds with how much I've stocked? When you fed it well, I think you look close to giving it 1 ton. The reality is that doesn't come through. 80%, 70% you find they're getting like 300 kgs. And that comes in because when you stock, after some time you have to follow up and there are things you do in between there. There's sorting. And if you don't sort them, because there are those we call fast growers, like any animal or any human or any being, they grow, some grow faster than the rest. And those that grow can eat the small ones. So you find if you had stocked 1,000, you might be having 400 or 600. Sorting is a process that you do after 4 months, averagely. At 4 months, they've reached an average of catfish, an average of 300 grams 350, 400. So when you sort, you get the big sizes and you grade them together. It's generally grading to put different sizes together. And the reason, generally, I'm having many ponds. That's the reason, some of the reason why I have many ponds, because you have at times to be sorting and you have to have an alternative where you have to put this size, this size. If you don't do sorting in time, I don't think you will get a better harvest. Secondly, when you are stocking again the pond, at times some might remain in the mud if you don't treat the pond well. And when you put in the new fingerings, now those ones that remained in the mud can come and eat them as well. So by the time you realize, you find there's no fish. There's what they call fertilizing the water. There you can put in some use like cow dung, but again, some say that's not the right one. For example, me, this size of the pond is too big, so it's more or less like a small lake. So I don't really put in much. And since the fish I keep in here, I'm not harvesting them yearly, I don't put in much. Then with catfish, you don't need to treat the water, I think. They've survived on me. I don't treat the water for catfish.
We are still on Sanga farm in Bombo, and this isn't your typical farm. As we wrapped up at the fish ponds, we noticed something in the background. Sheep quietly grazing. Turns out they weren't part of the original plan, but as Henry tells it, they've become essential in keeping the grass trimmed, especially around the ponds.
You see this area around here, it can be so bushy. So they helped me to slash this grass.
Wow.
The sheep feeding method always puts the head down. I would have put in the goats, but the goats just climb and eat all these trees and make a mess around. So I was faced in the beginning, before I brought in the sheep, I was faced with a lot of cost on slashing. It's a big area, as you can see. And during the rain season, you can imagine after every 3 weeks slashing, because if you don't slash, you will get predators coming in. Now I see that was not compatible. It was not sustainable. I couldn't, farming money, you don't need to spend that much because the margins, the profits you get are not that much. So I brought in sheep, and ever since I'm smiling. Sheep is a goat. It's the same. I just put them on my pickup and drop them at Karire when I'm going over the weekend, and 1, 2, 3, I get my 600,000, 700, I go home. If the numbers go big, then they start, because usually the area is big, I could leave them to grow, but I have to keep the numbers down because the area of the dam, that's where they feed. They can't go beyond that net. Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Averagely, I have to keep them around 20.
Where there are sheep, you'll often find cows, and this farm is no exception. His dairy section is still growing, but even now, he's collecting around 50 liters of milk a day. Not quite where he wants to be, but hey, success is success.
The cows I have here, they're about 20 as well. I haven't gone into much into dairy farming. Actually, that's the next step I'm going to. Yeah, I'm going to improve on that. But now they are still on free range. Yeah. They go grazing in the paddocks, natural grazing. Their milk production is not bad. They're good breeds. But the first thing I brought them in, unlike in my farm in Barra, here, Central and Buganda region, I think being close to facilities like artificial insemination, Yeah, that's the reason I brought them here. So they inseminate them. Then when they produce, I take the calves back home. That's what I do. They are sort of like restocking my farm there in Mbarara. Because here you get enough and different semens, which I wouldn't do there. The milk production is not bad. They get around 50 liters every day. The price of milk as well here, that's why I want to now go on zero grazing. At least the price of milk here is not that bad, because it doesn't fluctuate like the farm in Mbarara. When it's during the rain season, they just make a joke of you. The price for milk goes down, which it doesn't do here. Here the milk stays constant throughout the year, whether it's the dry season or the rain season, the price is always the same.
For Henry, once you decide farming is a business, treat it like one. That means knowing where the profits are and how to get the most out of every enterprise.
The poultry, I have croilers and broilers. Croilers take long, but they don't feed that much. You know, business, you have to work things out. Now this season we've been in, the kilo of broken was at 1,700. And when you look at that, the price of chicken, do you eat some roast chicken on the roadside or somewhere? It's always 5,000-6,000 each chicken kuku. So the price never changes. And if you're feeding your poultry at that price, that means you have to sell that chicken at a very high price.
When it comes to poultry, he's got a system and he shares it with us.
Me, I don't know how other farmers do. Me, I stock seasonal, depending on the feeds. Usually what I do here, I procure feeds from outgrowers, because I don't grow maize. So I buy maize during the season. And in an event that my stocks have gone out, and it so happens that the price of maize at that time is so high, I don't stock. Yeah, because it's not a question of stocking if you're not going to get a good profit margin. So that's what I do. And again, during such a seasons, if I'm to stock, I stock broilers because they don't feed that much. But the good thing with poultry, in 5-6 weeks, you get your money. Unlike fish. Fish, you take some time. You take 9 months to a year. If you don't have many ponds, like you can do rotational stocking. Me, I'm lucky with fish because I have many ponds. I synchronize my stocking in a way that after every 4 months or 3 months, I can have a harvest. So poultry for me comes in like my monthly salary sort of, and then as I wait for the fish to be growing. Yeah, that's what I see it, and know that the margins are that high. I have not tried the ones that lay eggs. Maybe that's different, but for meat, I mean, that's how I see it, and it keeps me moving to month to another month. They have really grown. These are now weeks, 5 weeks. So I hope by the time they get to 4 months, they will have some good organic meat, organic poultry meat. Unlike these broilers, which we rear for only 4 weeks. It's a tough world, but yeah, I think if I make a choice of the chicken I would eat a broiler rather than a broiler. And This plant here is called Russian confer. Yeah, it's very good for poultry and animals as well. It's a very good plant, and it makes their meat really quite nice. Because at the end we sell them as organic. A grown up goes between 30 and 40. At the time 35. Those male ones, the female ones, 30. Yeah, market people come for them. 1 day old broilers, and the chicks within 6 weeks they will be out on the market. That's the most amazing thing with broilers. I want people to know that surely you can come back home and do something, because 95% of the people I talk to, or the conversations we used to have there, was Uganda kukola ki? What should I do there?
Wow.
Yeah, I was there. We used to have those conversations, and that's the most challenge. By the way, going is so easy, but again, people are so worried of coming because they feel that void. What should I go and do now? For me, I came, I'm in farming, so I want to share my story with them, that you can come and try out this. It's working. Because 95% of the people I talk to, or the conversations we used to have there, was Uganda kukola ki? What should I do there?
Wow.
Yeah, I was there. We used to have those conversations, and that's the most challenge. By the way, going is so easy, and as I wrote in my book here, the guiding principle, the guiding compass, was capital mobilization, to come back and invest at home. And I think that is for each and every person leaving the country. When you're flying in at Entebbe, you see armies of young men and women.
Yeah.
First tour of duty, second tour of duty, third tour of duty, but it's all about capital mobilization to come and invest at home.
Let's take another short break. When we return, we are heading into the citrus orchard, and YPA is back with the tips on goat farming in your expert opinion segment. Do not go away. So glad you are still with us. We are at Sanga Farm in Bombo with Henry, who chose to retire back here at home after a life-changing health scare during the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic. That experience led him to plant lemons, a fruit not so common in this region, but one that turned into a promising venture. His orchard is impressive, and he's exploring value addition in creative ways.
The story of lemon. You know, when I planted those lemons, to be honest, I didn't know that I would ever see them bear fruits. I remember after the second lockdown, we crossed, I had my friend AZ, we crossed the control point at 19 miles. The air was so tense. It's like we were going in another foreign country. The streets were deserted, and having suffered from COVID-19, I started sort of like being uncertain with life. So, and everyone then was taking lemon. I said, you know what, let me plant this. Maybe the people who would survive might say one day want to use it. It worked well. I got a very good harvest, by the way. because I bought the seedlings in Kawanda. Yeah. And really these few oranges that I put in, they sustain me through the year. If it's a rain season, I get some good harvest from orange. For home use, I no longer buy oranges. Yeah. You can see them as few trees. They're about 20, but for home consumption, they're enough. Lemons are seasonal, but we have 4 seasons, 3, 4 a year. And when it's the rainy year, we get 4 seasons, but usually 3. But again, fun enough, they put on quite a lot. They flower a lot during the sunny season. That's the most interesting thing. But when it rains, then the size is big. It's bigger than this. And these things, you see, one tree can have a sack or 2. After the first harvest, I was faced with the challenge of market. Remember, I had planted them without any plan because it was all about something to survive on. So I tried to look for markets for lemon, and the price was for a sack was like 60. Then usually me, when I'm confronted with some problem, I try to think within, to think out of my comfort zone. And I could harvest tons and tons. That one tree can produce like more than 3 sacks. So I sat down and tried to figure out what I could do. I said, why don't I try to add values, do something that can add value to this? But then how do I do it? I don't have any knowledge about that chemistry of doing things. But I said, let me ferment them. I get out the juice and see how that juice comes out. I tried to ferment them for some months, tried to prepare some solution, then it didn't come out well. I talked to people, and someone said, you know what, maybe you didn't give them quite enough time. Then I tried again, and now increased on the time I was giving them to ferment. And I saw some improvement. So I kept increasing and increasing on the time. And now I think I've mastered the game, sort of, because the product I'm getting out, it's not bad really. So in future, I'm looking at what I can use it for. Maybe I'll make some organic gin from it, organic lemon gin or something. But at the moment, I haven't really thought about anything specific. I'm just now trying to collect as much juice and ferment it and see and keep my stocks, so that even if I'm to do anything, then I can have at least a minimum volume to start with. So I want to keep fermenting until I get like 10,000 liters. Then there I would be working out as well what I want to do with it. I'm still doing some research. So that was, for me, that was better than just taking them to the market for a sack at 60,000 or just leaving them to rot. Basically, those lemons, after harvesting them, they come to this. We put them in some containers and ferment them. And that takes quite some time. And you keep monitoring it as it sets and it goes through some process of fermentation. I don't know, I can't explain that myself, but at least I've managed to learn to do it. Then eventually we filter it and get out this. As you've seen, it still has some particles because it's not well filtered, But I think when it comes to time to use it, I will see how I'll get someone who is a professional in filtering that. Even the color is not, I think, it's still yellowish, maybe because of the lemon peelings. That's what I think. Yeah, but depending on what it will end up doing, if it ends up doing a sanitizer or a gene. So far, the first season I've managed to filter this, and yeah, so I still have another like 16 drums which I haven't filtered yet, so that will end that season. So let me see what this season we've seen, what it will bring. Maybe another 20 or so. I'll just keep doing like that until I get the volume I want. But in 5 years, I see myself, I want to be the biggest fish producer in Bulemezi. Yeah. Not only in sizes of ponds, but the best quality and and reliable farmer, where they can know, like, you come at my farm and you pick some good fish. As well, I hope in the next 2 years I would have worked something out from that lemon juice. Yeah. You know, I've spent 4 years here. I believe metaphorically, within the next 2 years, I would as well leave this Ruero jungle like Mzee 7 did, with something at least on my hand, that this is my thing.
Now let's switch gears and head over to Obed, our goat farming expert from YPA. If you're thinking about venturing into goats, here are the tips you don't want to miss.
Youth Platform Africa decided to become the biggest agribusiness center in Africa. And our vision is to become the one go-stop center for all agribusiness concepts, the best practical agribusiness concepts. Today, we are managing 1,300 farms, not our farms. No, we are 13,000 members. We are 13,000 members. But we have 1,300 farms, not our farm, that we manage on other people's behalf. For example, Nachejwe has her farm in Narukorongo. And this Nachejwe has been facing lots of problems day in, day out. They are busy, they are flying to Canada, and the goats also fly with them. They come back, and the goats don't come back. Another person works with URA. They have their goats, and the goats were 80 in 2004. They are still 80 in 2024. Another person has the land is sleeping there. They tried goats and they lost. We manage all those farms on contracts. Yes, we do a contract, just the same way you would do with an engineer. You have the money, you have the land, and you have the capacity, but you cannot construct the house yourself. So you go and look for the engineer who knows how to construct. You contract them to construct for you a what? A house. They even give you what we call architecture impression, how the house will look like after completion. This is the same thing we do. We give you an architecture plan of how the farm will be in 3 years. We are like, that is why I'm called the goat prophet. You have one goat, I will guarantee, as if I talked to God, that it will be 3 goats in 3 years. Come what may, whether you have land or not. So we have 2 models. The one model is the one I've explained, where someone has their land, we manage them on their behalf on their land. We give them, they give us targets, we give them projections, we sign contracts, and we manage. When times for selling come, we sell for them. they get the money, or we look for the market for the goats on their farms. And they pay us monthly, and they pay us annually, depending on how we agree. Then there is also another model for Mfunampola like Obed Ben. You don't have land. You are wananchi working somewhere, you're earning your 400,000 per month. Oh, you name it Walojana. Then you be like, how can I do goat farming? So we looked at those people and we were like, since Obed is a Mfunampola, how do you live out Mfunampola? Are you going to die alone? So we decided to do what we call group. You know, there is something they call in real estate. You know, I also, among the jobs I did, real estate was one of them. In real estate, there's what we call condominium. This is what happens here. This goat is not mine. This one is mine. This one is for Nancy. The other one is for Peter. The other one is for... We are in a condominium farming. Unasikiliza? It is as simple as eating matoke. We get land as a group instead of rearing one goat. We get 100 goats owned by 100 people, and we have one vet. Because the goats are 100, they can pay a vet. They can pay the security guard. They can pay for the herders. They can hire the land. They can do anything because they are many altogether. So this saves me from losing money simply because I'm a Mfunampola. So it means one person buys one goat and they expect returns simply because one goat is going to produce 4 in 1 year. Now I'm giving you how it works. One goat is producing 4 goats. Remember, when you buy the goat, we don't, for you, you are in Mfunampola, we know your problems. We don't ask for monthly payments. Where will you get them? So what we do is this. The goat itself is going to take care of itself, and the kids it will bear. It is going to produce 4. Out of the 4 kids in a year, I am going to give you 1. You, the owner of the goat. The 3 kids, after they grow, we are going to sell them. What will they do? Hire land, pay the vets, pay the labor, look for the market for the other 2. Then also, we are going to have the drugs. We are going to have all the, and 1 is going to remain there just in case. Because Namugenyi Mfunampola has given you their goat. Then after 2 weeks you tell them their goat has died. Yet 1,000 goats are still there. They will ask you, why mine? So we know Mfunampola and their ways. So we say, we are going to sell 2, we are going to leave 1 as a backup.
You've been such an amazing audience as always. Thank you so much for spending your Saturday with us. We hope tonight's episode gave you fresh ideas and real motivation to keep you growing. Let us know how the show has made an impact in your life. Simply use the QR code on your screen or live chat on X to connect with us, as well as the live chat option on the Your TV app. This show is proudly brought to you by Bukola Chemical Industries and YPA. I have been your delighted host, Sheila Nabafo, and thank you for watching. Stay tuned for NTV Weekend Edition for your news updates. See you next week.